Alrighty, folks. Burning a couple vacation days and it's not freezing cold, so I'm out here piddling on this turd. And I think I've decided how I'm going to mount my control pack fuse box. I've done minimal to no research on the internet, but I think this is what I'm going to do. I've seen a couple people that have mounted them in the car, which I like, but I really don't want to just, I don't know. I don't want to cut a huge hole through the firewall. Maybe I should reinvestigate. This is what I'm thinking. If I change my mind, I'll just delete this video and I'll never show anybody and they won't know the difference. So I'm going to mount my, this is the Gen 1 control pack, fuse and relay box right here, basically, to this structure. I want to be able to get this cover off with the fender liner dropped. So if we have any problems later on, it'll be somewhat easy to get to. Pretty much, I think, kind of like that. This wire gets kind of close to the fender, but it should be golden. I want to watch this lip here, this like seam, so I can still get this cover off, like the bottom. And that's how I think that's gonna look. That'll give me plenty of room for my O2s. This will just dilly-dangle up there. It'll look a little better. I don't have two hands right now, but I'll just like fasten it to the seam with some zip ties probably. And that way I can just cut a hole roundabouts here-ish probably. Any higher than this in the car and you're like into the heater box and all that HVAC crap. So I'll go in the car and just poke a pilot hole through as far up as I can. And then all I've got to get in the car are these plugs for OBD, because I don't want it outside of the truck, or outside of the cab. And then the throttle pedal and clutch switch. Get out of here. And then this plug, which goes to all of your start controls and your fuel pump and everything. Just leaving it out of the way for now. So what I'm gonna do, I think, is a 1 3/8" hole saw. Boy, this is a lot easier with two hands. Look at this, I can use my pinky and that'll work. Oh, no, it won't. That's not even close. Anyway, yeah, so it's a little bigger than it is, but I think it'll be fine. I'll do 2 holes, you know, side by side, and then smooth the edges out with a grinder or whatever. So then I can route all that crap in the car. All right, cool. Let's give that a shot. All right, folks, got a nice little hole cut through here. Let's see if we can get a focus on that maybe, yeah? Maybe. So just 2 1 3/8" hole saw bits side by side. Mark a punch, drill the hole saw bit through, do it again. And then I cleaned up the middle with a grinder. I'm gonna put a, so what I've got running through here, let me zoom out. I forget that I'm showing people stuff when I do this. So I've got my OBD, see, I'm forgetting right now, but I can't get it out if I don't look at it, so just bear with me. All right, so I got my OBD port, and I've got this length of wire that has the throttle pedal, the clutch position switch, and this plug with all the car crap on it. It's just unplugged, so I'll go in the car and plug that in. So that just made this a little simpler. Not really, it's not that big a deal. I could have just unraveled the wires. But anyway, so I'm gonna put a little piece of hose. I'm gonna take a little piece of 1/4" hose or something and, you know, make like a grommet for this and like glue it or RTV it in, so that these don't get worn over time on this. So these are going to tuck in here nice. This is gonna tuck in here nice. The O2s are gonna go that way. I don't know what I'm gonna do with the starter command yet. I might just use the car starter system. And then see, I'm gonna bust a couple holes in this and zip tie this up. I got your ground wire here. I think that'll work. Oh, that may not be big enough. I'll look around. So fuse box right there. I just drilled a couple holes and put a couple of riv nuts in this piece of sheet metal. And she's just got a couple little bolts holding her in there. Easy peasy. Got to run a hot wire up here from the battery wire on the starter, battery post. And yeah, the rest of the control pack just routes up through plugs up. This is the ECM plugs for the control pack, and then this guy. And then my fan control wires, I'm gonna run up through here to the fan. So yeah, there's that. All right, there's the finished product, I think, for now. Got my wires all zip tied up. I went ahead and just crammed the ECM harness back in the fender well just to clean it up a little bit. I ran this ground right here. I don't know if that'll be all right, but if I have ground problems, I'll move it. The starting signal for the solenoid, I just bundled up here. A couple zip ties through the seam there to hold all that up. I got me a piece of hose. I cut a slice down it and just glued it in for a grommet, so that seems decent. I hate that I had to cut a huge hole there, but you know, whatever, I guess. Got the power ran to my fuse box right off the starter there. So I just got 3 wires going to that. It's a little janky, but you know, I don't know. It's fine, I guess. It's either that or run like a post somewhere and then have 3 wires coming off of that. I don't really get the difference. My O2 wires, I think I'm gonna have to extend this one actually, the close side. On the passenger side, it's just not gonna be long enough. So I gotta do that. I'm gonna cut that and just extend it. Those 5 or 6 wires or however many are in there. It's no big deal really. But yeah, so I'll go in the car and start hooking up some wires to the ignition and stuff. Alrighty, so passenger wheel well here. This is all of the throttle pedal wire loom that I have based on how I've got this routed. One thing I wanted to show that I hate when people do, and it's just an easy tip. If you're gonna be extending a group of wires like this, don't just like cut them all and then extend them, because you're gonna have a big, huge clump of like butt connectors or whatever, or solder joints or however you do it. So like cut one here, 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 and extend them all that way. So this doesn't really increase in diameter at all through the whole length of the wire. So I'll show you what that looks like in a second. Check it out, bruh. Nice and extended. As you can see, I staggered all of my crimps, so you know this should collapse down pretty good, and I can. I'm gonna heat shrink all these, and then these are the ones that, like, you know, you get the heat shrink and glue in them. Heat shrink them, twist it up, tape it, and then hook it over or loom it, and then hook it over and plug it in. See how that goes. So that turned out pretty nice. I'm gonna feed her through there and hook it up. Boom! Is it perfect? No. Will it work? You know, probably. So there's that. Alrighty, I think we're recording. People won't quit texting me. Dadgummit. Alright. Okay, so over here. Stop texting. Stop. Leave me alone, please. I need to put this in airplane mode. Goodness, I'm so popular. Alright, so stop texting me. Stop it. Dad, all right, I'm gonna have to redo this. Okay, so, okay. Ignition control, ignition relay control, and starter request, and fuel pump wire I've routed through here. Kind of give you some perspective where we are on the car. Your ignition control, I think, well, I forget what the heck it's called. Starter request and ignition relay control or something. Here we go, what is this called? Ignition relay trigger, there we go. So that wire needs power, 12 volt power at key on and at crank, right? So while you're starting the car, your ECM doesn't not have power, and while the car is running, it can run. So this guy, I hooked into this, stop texting me. I hooked into this tan and white wire right here. And what you can do, it's real simple to figure out which wires you need to tap into. Just get a test light and poke your ignition wires one at a time and hit the key and then see what happens. So, you know, this wire is hot when the key is in run and in crank. So that should power up the ECM during run and crank. This wire, I botched this really bad because my wire crimpers suck. But it's originally white and pink out of the ignition switch. This is a 98 GT. All these are a little different color. But anyway, I used a little bit of that green wire. And that goes to the red and blue wire for starter requests. So this wire, the white and pink, is only hot at crank. So key position all the way forward, you're cranking, and then when you put it back to run, this wire loses power. So that will tell the starter to fire. Little tidbit, I hooked the battery up and the key does not turn the engine over. I don't have the control pack controlling the starting. I have the car controlling the starting, and that portion of the harness is in and hooked up correctly, best I can tell. But my original engine harness is gone. So I don't know if maybe there's some kind of does that have a theft light on? It probably has a theft light on. Let me see. Do you think I'm trying to steal you? No, it does not. It would like me to check the engine though. I'll do that. So I don't know why the starter isn't firing. The car's been sitting almost a year, so the starter could be junk. I might have to put a starter in it. But anyway, when I get the rest of the control pack stuff wired up, I'm gonna have the control pack kick over to the starter, and I'll show that a little later. Here's my green wire. Just routed it across up through here and down, and then that back into the trunk there. Let me get my light because it's dark. This is going to, man, it's dark back here. Dadgum. This the inertia switch, the green wire. Rumor has it you can tap in right here, and that'll fire your fuel pump off when the control pack sees power and tells it to come on. I'm not going to do that yet because I don't have fuel fittings because it's close to Christmas time and Amazon's losing all my packages. So, yeah. Whoa. Goodness me. I should put carpet in this car. Carpet is nice. I haven't had carpet, and look at how it's the doo-doo mobile, boys and girls. Anyway, I've got to go. So the way I have this wired, the clutch switch is over there dilly-dangling. It's not long enough to reach the throttle position switch. I'm going to bypass the clutch switch. So I've got to extend the throttle pedal wires. I'm going to extend them, run them over, hook them up to the throttle pedal, which I put in a previous video. There she is. This thing's going to get a lot of abuse. I hope I don't break it. So yeah, I'll start working on that. Alrighty, got power to my control pack. I have my original starter request wire from the car disconnected. I don't know why it wasn't triggering, but I'll figure that out later maybe. I have the control pack hooked up to the starter connection. So battery's connected, there's no fires. I'm gonna hit this thing and see if it'll bump over. This could be pretty exciting or disappointing. I don't have my hopes too high, so nothing will happen. Make sure she's in neutral. Alrighty, fingers crossed. Whoa, that was a weird sound. The heck was that? Okay, I heard it click. Huh. That's a weird, concerning sound. Alrighty, we'll figure that out. So I got down in there and beat on the starter with a hammer, and you can jump it and it'll trip, but it wouldn't before, so let's see what happens now. She thumps. I don't think the starter is engaging with the flywheel. I think the starter's bad. Okay, I'm stupid and forgot to ground the engine block. So that would be why the starter was not working. So I made me a new ground wire over here. Lost the stock one, but anyway, got a ground going right there to the block, to the frame. So let's see if that'll complete a circuit. I've got the control pack wire laying there just because I was piddling with stuff, and the car's hooked up to see if it'll start. I don't think it will because the trans harness isn't in the car, but I'm gonna try it anyway and see what happens. Also, I need to see how much gas is in it because I've got to drop the tank to get all my fuel fittings and stuff on the tank side sorted out, which I'll go into detail about in a minute. Let's see what happens here. Control pack's making a weird noise. Oh, only a quarter of a tank. That's not too bad. Let's see what happens if I hit the key here. Okay, I'm gonna switch those starter leads and see what happens. All right, control pack is on the starter lead this time. Fingers crossed. Man, I don't like that noise. I'm gonna find out what that is. Oh, it didn't stop cranking though. Okay. Woohoo! She made a racket. I probably got one of these wires switched up down here, so I gotta do some reading on that. Moved my control pack ground up here, where the ECM ground is. I checked all of my wiring on the ignition switch, and what I have shows that I have this right, but you know, who knows? I'm usually wrong, so I'm gonna try this one more time. There was a bit of a delay, like I would turn the key on and then the control pack would click. So I was wondering if maybe I didn't have a good ground, so that's why I moved the ground. And maybe I was wondering if I was cranking and then I let go and there's like a delay because I'm scared of it. So we'll try this one more time. Man, that noise is funky on the control pack. I don't know what the deal is with that. No, so it's definitely like still cranking. Yeah, okay. I've got something wrong. One of these wires is screwy. I'm gonna start moving them around. All right, so it turns out I don't have an issue, and that's how these control packs work. I've not worked on anything this new, so I didn't know any better. But apparently, the control packs will crank and crank and crank regardless of what the key does once you get it in the crank position. So on, crank, and it's gonna crank until the ECM sees a certain RPM and says, oh, we're running for like, I don't know, 20 or 30 seconds. Mixed reviews on the old interwebs there. But so yeah, that's good news. She fires, and well, she doesn't fire, but she spins. She spins over real nicely, and by gall, we're gonna have us a race car here one of these days. Not really. Remember, the goal here is get this running and sell it to some ding-a-ling, and I'm gonna go buy a C6 Z06. And that's not what's going to happen. I wish it was. Anyway, so yeah, we're one step closer. I'm going to start working on the fuel system a little bit here, but I'm going to make that another video. So adios, dingbats.